Good afternoon, and welcome to the Urban Peace Dialogues, when mayors become architects of peace. My name is Lorenzo Kilgren-Grandi, and I am the founding director of the City Diplomacy Lab at Columbia Global Center, Paris. The lab has the pleasure of co-hosting this official side event to the Forum of Mayors, together with the United States mission to the United Nations and other international organizations in Geneva, Mayors for Peace Europe, Mayors for Peace France, Maires pour la Paix, and the Nicosia initiative promoted by the European Committee of the Regions. We gather here this afternoon at the Palace of Nations and online to kickstart a global discussion on the unique added value of mayors and municipalities in achieving and maintaining peace and stability. But first, to set the scene, I would like to invite Mr. Peter Kahn, Associate Deputy Assistant Secretary at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, to deliver the opening remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Distinguished guests and fellow urban enthusiasts, my name is Peter Kahn, and I am representing the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, a domestic agency whose mission is to create strong, stable, inclusive communities and quality, affordable homes for all. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this special side event entitled Urban Peace Dialogues When Mayors Become Architects of Peace, co-hosted by City Diplomacy Lab, Columbia Global Centers, Paris, as part of the UNECE Forum of Mayors. This afternoon, we embark on a journey of dialogue, collaboration, and innovation as we explore the dynamic and ever-evolving landscape of urban development through the lens of peace, justice, and strong institutions, while focusing on actions available to local leaders. As we gather here, the world is undergoing a profound transformation. Rapid urbanization is reshaping the way we live, work, and interact with our environment. Our cities are not only becoming hubs of economic activity, but also centers of culture, innovation, and social change. It is within this urban tapestry that we find the heart of our shared future. From a national perspective, the United States is committed to advocating for transparent and accountable governance of, for, and by the people as a means for nations to realize lasting peace, prosperity, and human dignity. As such, the United States supports the full implementation of the 2030 Agenda and agrees with Secretary General Gutierrez's call for cities to play a more active role in the Sustainable Development Goals and the UN system overall. Cities around the world have been at the forefront of adapting and applying the SDGs to address local challenges. That's why the United States supports various SDG 16 initiatives at home and around the world. Through our work to support SDG 16 initiatives, we have focused on efforts to curb urban violence and identify and implement innovative ways to prevent and manage conflict. At home, cities like New York and Los Angeles have been leading efforts to address the SDGs. For example, after New York first published its own voluntary local review of the SDGs, other cities around the United States followed suit, including Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, and Orlando. Los Angeles has also developed a global network of mayors to address gender equity, and it has become the first city in the world to use an open source platform to publicly report on their SDG indicators. For my agency, HUD has taken an introspective approach to ensure equity is at the forefront of all of our services. HUD plays a pivotal role in promoting access to affordable housing and protecting the rights of those who are marginalized and vulnerable in our society. Through our Equity Action Plan, we have been critically examining our policies and practices to foster an environment where equity is truly advanced across the agency. We have focused our attention on increasing home ownership opportunities and abating homelessness, two major housing aspects that impact the social fabric of a thriving community. Home ownership opportunities offer a variety of benefits and influence where and how households live, while also impacting access to wealth opportunities. Underserved households often face significant barriers to realizing these benefits. Through the Equity Action Plan, HUD is working to eliminate the racial homeownership gap, employing a range of actions which draw on experiences across many different programs and leveraging partnerships with other federal and non-federal organizations. Homelessness continues to be a pervasive problem for our nation. Consequently, HUD is prioritizing targeted interventions to provide comprehensive supportive services for those marginalized populations who are impacted disproportionately. The action plan builds on years of work other offices have completed and focuses on providing greater equity in the provision of homeless assistance. As we strive to use equity as a means to advance sustainable urban development at HUD, I want to note that cities around the U.S. are committed and dedicated to creating strong, sustainable, and inclusive communities which embodies the essence of the SDGs. I want to express my gratitude to the U.S. Permanent Mission to the UN here in Geneva for agreeing to co-host this side event and for asking me to provide these opening remarks. Therefore, without further delay, I look forward to this conversation that will help to shape the direction of cities going forward. Thank you, and let us make the most of this extraordinary opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kahn. It's always a pleasure to listen about the lively engagement of US cities and cities worldwide. It's really an enthusiastic moment, I think, to observe what cities are doing and what they will do. We have today an exceptional panel of mayors with us to identify this challenging topic of peace and the role of cities in it. From your right to your left, from Granollers, Spain, Mayor Alba Barnusell, Chair of Mayors for Peace Europe. On her right, from Ghent, Belgium, Mayor Mathias de Clercq, Vice President of Eurocities. We have from Sweden, Malmö, Mayor Katrin Stjernfeldt, Jammeh. And from Braga, Portugal, Mayor Ricardo, Chair of the Global Parliament of Mayors and a member of the Advisory Board of the City Diplomacy Lab. Next to him, a representative of another distinguished member of the City Diplomacy Lab Advisory Board for Rome, capital of Italy, Deputy Mayor Tobia Zevi, and fellow City Diplomacy Scholar. And finally, last but not least, for Vitry-sur-Seine in France, Deputy Mayor Albertino Ramael, representative of Maires pour la Paix France. Thank you so much to all of you for accepting our invitation and for being here to inspire us with your action for peace and to start exploring with us the road ahead to make the peace of cities the tool to prevent future wars. Now, to start just with some inspiration, I would like to invite the mayors to share an image that is particularly evocative of their action for peace in their own city. So I would like to start by inviting Mayor Barnusell to show her photo and explain in what way it expresses your city capacity to localize SDG 16.
Okay, good afternoon. First of all, thank you very much to all of you being here. It's a pleasure to share this table on cities that build peace. And I would like to thank you, City Diplomacy Lab of Columbia Global Centers, for their initiative to include peace on the agenda of this Forum of Mayors. And thank you, Lorenzo. A better future is what we want from the network I represent today, Mayors for Peace, an alliance of over 8,000 municipalities from around the world working on peace and disarmament. We are convinced that local action is the key to achieve the SDGs in all areas, especially in building peace. Peace is strongly linked to sustainable development. Without peace, it's not possible to achieve other goals. Today, we cannot ignore the fact that we are in a meeting at grim time. Nuclear threats are escalating in eastern frontier of Europe, and we face unprecedented environmental, social, and economic changes. Within this context, we have to ask ourselves, what can local governments do to face the great challenges of our time? There is much to do, and now we are talking about that. In this fight for human rights, justice, and better life for all, local governments are at the forefront. We work day over day together with citizens. So this is what we all do. With this idea in mind, this is the picture. I chosen a photo of children designing projects to improve the city life. Is in the process of defining our strategic plan, 2030, Granollers strategic plan. We ask children and young people to imagine the city they want on the future. We organize a hackathon. 200 participants took part in this creative experience based on co-creation, exchanging, and create projects. The hackathon made them feel that they are part of the city decisions and they are part of the future of the city. So I would like, with this picture, to stress the importance of education and civic engagement in addressing the promoting of peace. In every municipality, building peace starts from the ground up, in neighborhoods, in communities, and education based on values and human rights enable people to live together peacefully. ADG 16 is not only about reducing violence, it's about ensuring responsive, inclusive, participatory, and representative decision-making at all levels. This is the reason that Granollers and a lot of cities, we say that we are an education city. Education is the key to eradicating violence and building peaceful cities and coexistence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mayor Barnusell, a lot of food for thought and interesting best practice with a cross-age approach. Very, very participatory. I would like to ask now Mayor de Clercq to explain us your photo, what your photo shows, and what is how this is linked to the localization of SDG.
Can I stand up? Or? Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, that's a photo, I think, from 1 month ago, when the Ukraine Ghent people, the refugees, did a manifestation to shout in the streets, "Thank you, Ghent." I will always remember the day after the Russian aggression into Ukraine. I went to the Ukraine church in my city, and Father Ivan did some praise. And after the praise, Ukraine people came with me with their iPhone, and they showed me that houses of their family were attacked. The day after, we organized with in front of the city hall to raise the Ukraine flag for a symbol moment of peace and silence. And the same people from 1 day ago were with me, and they showed with the same iPhone that the houses 1 day before were all destroyed. So I was really aware of the horror was taking place over there. Ghent, Ghentians, in 1 week, 1,000 families in Ghent opened their houses and showed some beds for Ukraine refugees. And then also the city of Ghent, of course, did some collective infrastructure for the refugees. I think 3-4 projects for 100, 200 refugees. Now we have also an emergency village for where 600 Ukraine refugees can be there in comfort. Lots of women, of course, with children, because the men fighting in Ukraine. And I think this shows all the mentality and the DNA of my city, the city of peace. We were also the first city in Belgium with a peace house in the city, with everything about peace and the importance and the values also my city and my country was fighting for. For example, at the 6th of September, we held a manifestation because Ghent was liberated 79 years ago by Canadians, by Polish people, from Nazism, from fascism, from the Germans. So I think it's very important that the values where the Ukrainians are fighting for are all our common values. And I think it's important to head that manifestation, to show the importance of solidarity, to fight together for peace. And it was a really nice manifestation where the Ukrainian people said, "Thank you very much for your support."
Thank you very much, Mayor de Clercq. Now I leave the floor to Mayor Stjernfeldt Jammeh from Malmö.
Thank you very much for the initiative and for the possibility for me and for Malmö to take part of it. First, I will start out by just give you a brief presentation of the city of Malmö, because that's part of the explanation why I showed this picture. Malmö is the third largest city in Sweden. We are fast growing, and we are a little bit more than 360,000 inhabitants. We are kind of a young city. 40% are younger than 29 years. And together, we represent all our inhabitants, residents. Together, we represent more than 180 different nationalities. Depends, 183, sometimes 186, but something like that. So Malmö is indeed a city with a very high degree of diversity when it comes to languages, cultures, and so on. And the photo I've chosen is a visual representation of the kind of city that we strive to be: youthful, open, inclusive, vibrant. It's a photo taken in a public park named the People's Park, you can say. It indeed fills the function of a shared public living room. And as the mayor of Malmö, I take really pride in representing a city of diversity. To me, this is a tremendous strength in a global world, but it can, of course, also sometimes be challenging. To give you one example, we know from the work we have been doing for decades to create a more green, sustainable city that we have to fight against the climate change. That everything that happens around the globe has some kind of an effect on our city and vice versa. But it's also when we look at our population, we see that and we realize that everything that happens somewhere on the globe affects at least some of our residents, sometimes several residents. So you have conflicts far away that are actually being subject for the day in school or in the office and so on. And I think it's really, really important to see that we have to be aware that we have to address this kind of issues, conflicts, to avoid a situation with conflicts between our population. And we have to work really intense to strengthen the bond between our population. And then we use the physical planning as a tool. We would like to build new city districts that are really inclusive, also with a high degree of focus on environmental, with the focus on the environment, but also as much with focus on sustainable, social sustainability. And we work in everything we do. We try to work together with the population, together with the different sectors to strengthen different associations and so on. And we work together with parents and lots of different actors. And I think this to work with the whole community, with the whole area to make sure that you feel home, not just in your own neighborhood, but you have ownership of the entire city. So the city belongs to all of us, and we have to develop it together. So that's something I would like to show with this picture. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mayor Stjernfeldt Jammeh and Mayor Ricardo from Braga.
Thank you. I will also stand up if you allow me. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the invitation to participate. The city of Braga believes that the global peace starts at the local level, and it's crucial to have social peace in our territory, in our city, to create a culture of peace worldwide. And that is why, especially in low-income households and in low-income neighborhoods, we have been trying to foster throughout the latest years the creation of associations of residents. This is to create some sort of stakeholder through whom we can discuss the improvements that we can make in each of the areas of our city, and in order to not only provide habitation to the people, but also to provide them an habitat, a good quality of life wherever they live and whatever their economic condition is. And these associations became a very important counterpart for the municipality throughout the latest years. And in recent years, we have created a specific project, which was the Residents' Assembly, in which we gather all the associations that were created in the territory, like some sort of parliamentum, in which we try to exchange experiences, to share best practices, to develop joint projects. And this Assembly of Residents has just been acknowledged by UN Habitat on the scroll of honors that have been awarded yesterday in Azerbaijan as one of the best practices worldwide. And as a result of this initiative, one of the projects that we developed was to create a specific, some sort of participative budget for the residents associations, which is called Leave the Neighborhood, in which each of the associations can propose some sort of initiative that can be developed in their neighborhood. And we have very different projects, some connected with culture, some connected with environment, some connected with urban regeneration. And this is a good example of that type of approach, because this is a basketball field which wasn't used, which was completely ruined, and it was used probably for traffic and all sorts of bad habits in the city. And we had the proposal from one of the associations to create an urban art project in which the color and the painting of the track has obviously improved the attractiveness of the field and has brought not only the residents from that site, but many other people in the city to come to play there in this basketball track. And so this is a source of regeneration, but also a source of improvement of the quality of life for this neighborhood. And it's the example that I would like to bring to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Rio. Deputy Mayor Dr. Zevi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this invitation to Columbia Global Center. And of course, thank you, Lorenzo. This picture, in my opinion, is very meaningful and moving. It portrays something happened in Rome, March 17th. And in the picture, you can see Mayor Roberto Gualtieri. I'm here on behalf of him, actually giving citizenship to 5 young Italians coming from Egypt, Romania, Peru, Philippines, and Ghana. These kids, these guys, were allowed to have citizenship just when they became 18, because the national law still doesn't allow people born in Italy to automatically become citizens until they are 18, and the procedure, even when they are 18, it's not easy at all, because actually it's not given. You have to go through a complex procedure and eventually be accepted. Now, the point is, they of course can ask to become Italian. This is not given. Sometimes this is very humiliating. And when I think of this, I just give a look to my child being in the kindergarten, sitting next to him, another child, 2 years and a half, 3 years, coming from other people in the world, but born in Italy, and probably having their parents working in Rome as I do. And these 2 children are simply not the same, because one is Italian and has all the rights as a citizen, and the other don't have. And we are talking about 64,000 people in Rome, 64,000 children in in Rome, and this is a huge number. So Mayor Roberto Gualtieri stepped up and decided not only to give the honorary citizenship, which is something that already happened before, and of course it is important, but it's just a symbol, but also to apologize with them. This is what you can see in the picture. The mayor of Rome, so in a way, in Italian we say primo cittadino, the first citizen. This is how you define the mayor, actually smiling, but also apologizing to these children who represent, in a way, the last ring of the chain, as we say, because they are not actually part of the community as they should be, as they deserve. So he called on Parliament to adopt a law based on the so-named ius soli. This is coming from Latin, which means the right of those who are born on a certain soil, and not the ius sanguinis, so those who actually belong to the community because of blood, or as now we used to say, the ius cultura, which means a mixed system based on law, on actually birth and school, in a way, because these guys are actually attending the school. And so this battle is something very important, not only for the Italian, of course, politics, but I believe it's very important for the community. The reason why I chose this picture is that I believe it explains very well which is the role of cities in implementing and promoting peace in a very concrete and specific way. Here you can see the profound division between national policies, which are often very far away from reality, and actually local policies that actually have to deal daily with the complex reality we are actually facing every day. So, in my opinion, this pictures is important for cities, it is important for us as public representatives, and of course, it's important for the meaning of local communities, never forgetting those who are weaker and more fragile. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zevi. Mr. Ramael from Vitry-sur-Seine.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorenzo. Good afternoon, everybody. I choose this photo. Vitry-sur-Seine illustrated its commitment to peace by hosting an art competition to select the design for the city's official peace flag, unveiled on September 21st to contribute the International Day of Peace. This year-long competition was open to all middle and high school students during the city's annual Peace Festival, known as Festicape. Distinguished figures, including the mayor, led the jury, awarding certificates of appreciation and arranging guided tours of the Palace of Nations for the participants. The valuable feedback received from this competition shed light on the heightened awareness among students about the critical need to establish effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Overall, this initiative provided students with a unique opportunity to deepen their understanding of sustainable development goals, while also enabling them to engage directly with the jury, which included elected representatives and local non-profit organization volunteers. The competition served as a platform to students to express their unwavering determination to address pressing issues such as insecurity, violence, and discrimination in their daily lives. The image captures the essence of a local initiative, Festicape, which passionately advocates for the values of peace, inclusion, and nonviolence, and respect. Each year, this initiative embraces a specific theme, with the 2023 focus being on sports and the Olympic Games. aligning harmoniously with the principles of Sustainable Development Goal 16. Beyond merely showcasing the event's importance, this photograph underscores its profound positive impact on the residents of Vitry and local association. Such popular gathering play a pivotal role in nurturing local reconciliation, fostering connections, and promoting cohesion within the community. I just want to finish with some information. It is suicide. It's a city south of Paris, near suburb, so 100,000 people, inhabitants, and we have about 80 nationality in our city. So this kind of events is very important for us to make people understand each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramael. Thanks to all the panelists. I feel deeply inspired, and thank you so much for sharing these images with us. I believe they really show the connection between the local and the global, and how this connection is not actually suffered or endured, but actually managed in a positive way. You show how to build, empower, maintain peace based on participation, this cross-age participation, as we said, bottom-up approach, as well as this sort of value of heterogeneity, if I may say so. Before moving to the second question, I would like to inform the audience in the room as well as from home that there will be the possibility, of course, to ask questions to our panelists. From home, you are invited to use the chat on Teams. Unfortunately, the picture that you painted is not the same in many countries that are unfortunately suffering from war and conflicts. We can see that, in fact, the values that you have been advocating for are, in fact, a target. They became an explicit target of armed violence. We can assist to something we can define as herbicides, as Professor Martin Coward has mentioned. Basically, armed violence targeting cities and urban communities, especially when they gather together, when they participate, when they act as a community. So, dear Mayor, the second question is even more difficult than the first one. I would like to ask again for your help. And here I would like to ask you to very briefly suggest a keyword that is able to inspire us on how to strengthen cities' voice, commitment, and action in preventing new conflicts and wars. Mayor Barnusell.
For me, city diplomacy. I believe this is a key word and a key action. Localization of the SDGs is an essential tool to build more sustainable, resilient, and safe cities. Developing and accelerating the implementation of the 2030 agenda and also the urban agenda is the way to achieve cities of peace. Because achieving peace is not just about solving problems, as I said before. It is about tackling the structural causes that originate and sustain them. We cannot forget that one of the 5 pillars of 2030 agenda is global partnership. So global partnership is based on solidarity with the participation of all countries, all the stakeholders, and all people. Cooperation between cities, networking, and city diplomacy is an essential resource to achieve these goals. The solidarity and the strengthening of links between cities and territories allow us to go beyond the action of a state. Cities and city networks have a key role to play within the multilateral system in promoting respect for international law and fostering ways of dialogue to achieve peace. We must remember that by far civilians are the main victims of the armed conflicts. 90% of death in armed conflicts are civilian death. The security and safety of the population is a global concern. When the security of one of us, one territory is disrupted, there is a domino effect that ends up affecting the security of other countries. This is the reason more and more municipalities around the world, together with citizens and city networks, want to be involved in the search for solutions to global conflicts. Local leaderships as a network of municipalities has the strength to actively break down barriers, make its voice heard, and work with other municipalities to expand the culture of peace beyond its borders. We, the networks of Mayors for Peace, strongly support the importance of addressing the structural causes that origin and sustain violent conflicts. Peace cannot only be understood if it's linked to consolidation of democracy, social justice, and respect for human rights. Mary Robinson said once, we must understand the role of human rights as empowering of individuals and communities. By protecting these rights, we can help prevent the many conflicts based on poverty, discrimination, and exclusion, social, economic, and political. That's the way we work on this network. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor Barnusell. I have to say I appreciate your answer very much, based on the choice of your keyword, of course. Mayor de Clercq.
Yes, I think it's about SDG 16, democracy, peace, and City of Ghent, and also Eurocities, our European platform. Braga is also very, very active in our executive committee. SDG 16 is key. I give two examples what we advocated for, also with Eurocities. First of all, of course, the aggression from Russia in Ukraine. We helped with the campaign Generators for Hope. And I met the ambassador of Ukraine in Brussels last week. And there will be a necessity of a new campaign because winter is coming again. And the ambassador said to me that the horror is even bigger and winter is even harder. So we must stand with Ukraine and help. And that I think it's important to say, because what we must avoid as mayors and as citizens is that there is something like a war fatigue, that people think it will be over. It's busy, but they will win, and it will be good, and it will be all get together. But that's not good to think. So we have to say to our citizens, we must keep helping and standing with Ukraine. So I think it's an important message. And as Eurocities, President Zelensky also received some mayors from our network. And we still start standing in contact to help. What the ambassador said also is that they need a lot of laptops, because children cannot go to school any longer. All the infrastructure is bombed, and also it's not safety in the roads. So now they are building under the ground schools, but also at home. So laptops are very important for the children and for the education. So we must help further Ukraine. Second example is with our Eurocities network. There was in Istanbul, a mayor was faced by a political trial, and it was Erdogan who wanted to trial this mayor because he doesn't fit in Erdogan's policy. And it was a very popular mayor who won election by more than 1 million votes by the other mayor who was supported by Erdogan. So he faced a political trial. And we went with a lot of mayors to Istanbul to give a sign, to say it's not okay, it's not good. The values of democracy, transparency, rule of law. And I think in that manner, we can also make some difference, to give some signals, and to bring us a bit hope, and to be very clear on that point. So I think Eurocities, cities in general, in particular, has a strong responsibility to advocate for rule of law, peace, transparency, and rules.
Thank you very much. Mayor Stjernfeldt Jammeh.
Thank you. As I mentioned before, I'm really proud that we are a very diverse city, but not everyone is that proud. And at the moment, I can feel that we have strong forces at home and also abroad that would like to tear the society apart. And we really have to work with this feeling of inclusiveness, openness. And a couple of years ago, we launched a way of working that we called Open Malmö. It's a term of a long-term plan for an open and inclusive city. And I think that's maybe more important now than for quite a while to work like that. And the key word I would like to focus on is presence. I think it's really, really important to create an inclusive, welcoming city that really connect people together. It means that you have to be present everywhere. I think you have to be present in schools. You have to address the different kind of issues that could appear. For example, we support an initiative where a rabbi and imam are visiting our schools. They're really present and they try to spread the word that they have lots of things in common. They try to build bridges between the religions to create an understanding. So the presence in school, that we really take all these kind of issues into act, is really, really important. And then I think it's really important that we as politicians, for example, are really present everywhere in the city. My fellow politicians from my party, for example, we think it's really important to live in different neighborhoods, to be present, to be able to represent our neighbors. And as a mayor, I'm working quite intense by arranging town hall meetings all over the city to be able to listen to different kind of issues. I mean, for most issues are the same in all different districts within the city. But in some parts, it's really, really important to listen to the voices that are not being heard in the general debate. So presence in the neighborhood is really, really important. And also to be present and support different organizations, parents, actors that are able to create a more inclusive and welcoming city, a better city for all our citizens to live in. And being present is also the only way to make sure that some or all voices are being heard. So I think that's a key word to create a democratic society and so on, to a peaceful society. Well, I think I finished that.
Thank you very much, Mayor Stjernfeldt Jammeh. Mayor Rio.
Well, Lorenzo, I think that my keyword is very connected with all that has already been said and also with the experiences that were also shared by the colleagues in the first intervention, because it is interculturality. I think that it addresses the topic of the respect for the difference. It respects the integration rather than segregation. It respects the dimension of engagement of all the communities in the construction of a common territory. And in Braga, we don't have 180 nationalities as in Malmö, but we have 130. And we have received a lot of migrants from all sorts of countries in the world, not only from the Portuguese-speaking countries in Africa or from Brazil, which we have a huge community that accounts now for nearly 8% of our population. But also we have received refugees from Afghanistan, from Syria, from Sudan. And all of those are not an external part of the city. They are fully integrated in schools, in the communities. They have jobs. They are working for their own benefit and for the benefit of the community. And this is very important because this obviously strengthens the connections between the different realities, different cultures, different religions. The religious dimension is obviously very important as well. And it also strengthens something that has been mentioned by Mathias, which is very important, which is the international solidarity. Braga was, for instance, one of the first cities to send buses to the borders of Poland and Romania to pick up Ukrainians that were running away from their country in the beginning of the war. We helped Gaziantep when they had the earthquake 2 years ago, or more now in Morocco, also the same thing, or Bafa in the Equatorial Guinea. And obviously we are a small dot in the world, but that's why it is important that we don't do it on an individual basis, but that we do it on a network basis with all the other cities. And the projects that have been developed by the networks that have already been mentioned, or the champion mayors of OECD and many others, are very important. And this creates obviously a solidarity spirit that can obviously be the best source for peace worldwide.
Thank you very much, Mayor Rio. Deputy Mayor Zevi.
So, quoting my previous intervention, I chose as a meaningful word to me, local citizenship or global citizen, meaning that in our communities, we heard such different experiences also in this panel. We have, of course, different political systems, languages, and cultures, but we share some common issues, some common problems, which are very, very easy to understand: poverty, climate change, pollution, waste collection, inclusion, migrations, participations. These are issues that are completely common for all of us. And these are problems which, first of all, need concrete solutions, daily and concrete solutions. But even more, regarding the discussion of today, they require a practical approach. Practical tools to be solved, and of course they require to decrease conflicts and fights among our citizens, and this is something that is very, very meaningful for our discussion of today, because national government often have a big issue concerning rights and the need also to improve and to invest in national defense systems and many other and industries, and of course many other things. Instead, we are facing and tackling daily practical problems which need practical solutions, and that need to take care of territorial and differences and needs and instances and all the stuff. So I believe, and this is something that the Columbia Global Center deal with every day, and it is also a discussion that have been lasting for the past 2 decades about the role of cities, global cities, big cities, small cities. That's another issue in the framework of the multilateral system, how cities can contribute with a different approach to different policies. I believe that our role is actually to shape global citizen, and I'm going back to my to my academic background of linguistics, as thinking about etymology, so citizen comes from civitas, so comes from cities in Latin, and we need to actually build this global citizenship, which actually make us as city dweller and as local citizen, as pioneers of a global, more peaceful humanity and multilateral system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Zevi. Deputy Mayor Ramael.
Thank you. So to strengthen the voice and the actions of cities in preventing the outbreak of new conflicts and wars. My keyword is cooperation. Cooperation, it's also mutual understanding. We have a network of mayors who are dedicated to promoting peace worldwide through a non-governmental organization called Mayors for Peace. And this organization was founded by mayors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki with the aim of opposing wars and nuclear armament while supporting international relations founded on principles of justice and democracy. It operates in various countries, including France, where it promotes peaceful conflict resolution through diplomatic channels and political negotiations. My city, Vitry-sur-Seine, actively participates in Mayor for Peace, collaborating to instill a culture of peace within the local population. To engage our community in the cause of peace, we, along with other mayors and local governments, collaborate with our European partners and several peace organizations, including the Nobel laureate, ICANN. Our goal is to address the root causes of global conflicts, such as you told, poverty, climate change, and war, with particular emphasis on nuclear disarmament. We do this through a variety of platforms, such as workshops, conference, peace education programs, and by conveying our messages to members of the French government and Parliament. These efforts collectively raises awareness among citizens and bring issues of war, peace, human rights, and disarmament into the public debate and discussions. As illustrated, city networks are the embodiment of cooperation, and cooperation is a defining feature of city diplomacy. Cities actively engage in diplomacy, particularly through decentralized cooperation and training programs, in order to establish enduring and peaceful relationships. Cities serve bridges that transcend cultural and linguistic differences, thereby turning them into sources of richness. Cooperation between cities symbolizes solidarity as exemplified by initiatives like welcoming refugees or participating in collaborative projects with regions such as Palestine, Africa, South Asia, and we can tell a big list. Such cooperation helps maintain connections where governments may have chosen to sever them for economic or political reasons, and help on developing sustainable and peaceful cities globally. Furthermore, through these joint efforts, we can witness how city networks can translate the spirit of cooperation into tangible actions that promotes peace and resilience in the face of conflict. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Ramael. And I'm pleased now to open the floor for questions. And I would like to start with one of our co-organizer organizations, the Nicosia initiative, represented here today by the coordinator, Ms. Benedetta Otto.
Good afternoon. Being the Nicosia initiative, the platform of the European Committee of the Region to support Libyan municipalities, I cannot start my question from referring to the recent Libyan catastrophe, which tells us that the enemies of peace are many, often unpredictable,
almost always underestimated, which we found ourselves chasing only after it's too late to contain them. Power conflict, proxy war, institutions divided and distant from the people, people disenchanted with the right and detached from duty, a violated environment which becomes therefore very violent. In our multi-crisis world, I need here to slightly change my question to you because I heard your measures and your innovative practices. I've seen cities often being islands of stability by taking and adopting those courageous measures. And my question now is how we can scale up this measure practically, because we have different networks, Mayors for Peace, international organization, gathering local authorities. But now we have to turn a little bit the discourse into more pragmatism. How we can scale up the measures you adopt in Braga, in Malmö, in your cities, in Ghent, in Rome, at the global level to change this short-sighted view of our national and international policy and make sure that these threats we can turn into opportunity, not merely to develop. Development is not enough. We have to evolve and grow so that we can find ourselves here not to discuss about reconstruction. Reconstruction is too late. We have only to gather discussing construction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benedetta. I think those who will be able to answer this question will probably get the Nobel Peace Prize. And who would like to give it a try? Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Impressive. What we think as Eurocities is that there has to be a European Commissioner of Cities. We as a city, as cities, we need a seat at the table. And we need to be directly, can have impact on legislation and debate. First debate, dialogue, legislation. So I think that's very important. We need it on a European level, but I also think we need it on a national level. I can speak only for my country. I have direct links with ministers, prime minister, but I think it should be structurally embedded in a federal structure that, for example, in parliament, national parliament, 2-3 times in a year, the mayors are there to explain to members of parliament what is happening in the cities, what our challenges are, how our good practices are, that the energy is there, that we dare to make decisions. Because what we see often, national parliament, national politicians, national governments are not the islands of dialogue, stability. They are anxious to make decisions, anxious to explain to people. And then extremists are coming up. When you have a strong local policy, the people does not have to agree every time with you as a mayor or a vice mayor, but they want you have a direction and they want you to make choices. And then extreme right, extreme left gain no air play. And that's the catastrophe of national governments, that they don't dare to make choices. And then extremists are, of course, coming into the parliament. And I think we need structural embedding from, it's not about the mayors, it's about the citizens who are living into the cities by their mayor come into parliament to explain, to dialogue on a national level, on the European level, on everywhere. And I think that can be the beginning of something strong, but we do not have to wait. We have to unite ourselves, because what I see, for example, in Belgium, you have Flanders, Brussels, Wallonie. I'm from the Flanders part. When we unite with the 13 biggest cities of Flanders, we are strong. And then a minister or a minister president could not say, I will look a bit, I will search something. No, when you have the same voices, the noses in the same direction, when you're united, they can tell you, come back and I will see what I can do. So we have to unite ourselves. So we have to start with ourselves, I think.
Thank you very much. I can see that Mayor Stjernfeldt Jammeh would like to answer. And then, of course, Mayor Barnusell and Mayor Rier.
Thank you. I fully agree. I think the first time I really felt that cities are really able to deliver. I attended the COP in Paris just a few days before the nations got together and signed the agreement. And I just felt in the room with like 1,000 mayors that nevertheless, if we have the understanding, the agreement between our nations, we will have to do the job, because at the local level, you face your inhabitants every day. We have to deal with all kinds of problems caused by climate change or conflicts and so on. So I really felt so strong. Being part of an international community gives energy. And since then, I've been working really hard within different networks. Eurocities is one important for the city of Malmö. I'm vice president of ICLE. It's a network, 2,700 cities globally. And I think that's really an important part of my work, to be able to spread our experiences, but also to reflect on other cities' experiences, to bring it back home, try to develop it. And also on the national level, I fully agree. I would say that we have to work really close to address some kind of issues, the need of support and things that are important for cities to deliver. Sometimes we have to deliver things that we don't really have the mandate to do, but we have to do it. So to be a strong voice at all levels to make sure that we can deliver at the local level. I'm also a member of SALAR. It's our national organization. It's a member organization for all municipalities and regions in Sweden, and we work really close together to strengthen one each other, but also to act on a global level. For example, we have been since 2014 working together with Ukrainian cities. They have a strong reform of decentralization in 2014. And then since the situation with the full-scale invasion, we changed the focus to make sure that you strengthen the society, that the municipalities are able to deliver what they have to deliver at the very moment. So I really indeed think that we have to change experience and strengthen one another on all levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mayor Barnusell.
Completely agree. Just to add, I think cities don't just want to be the solution. We are part of the solution. We are solution of every problem, every conflict, global, around the world. And we also are part of any challenge we speak today. So we have to be in all the tables, or we have to take part also in the decisions. But what I wanted to sign is that cities, we are part of the solution.
Mayor Rier.
I would like to stress that it's not a matter of some sort of corporate defense of the class of mayors, of the class of cities. It's something based on a scientific demonstration, because we have all seen in almost every single area that even the global goals can't be achieved if there isn't a direct engagement of the cities. OECD showed that 60% of the sustainable development goals need to be achieved together with the cities. We saw what happened throughout the pandemic, and that's an area in which the cities usually don't have many direct responsibilities. But if it wasn't for the work of the cities, the crisis that we all suffered will be much bigger. We see it in migrations, we see it in climate change. And so we have, with our work, claimed for a bigger role. And it's not intelligent not to have a structured dialogue between the national governments and the continental governments, let's say, like the European Union, and the cities, like Mathias was mentioning, the lack of having a commissioner for the cities is obviously something that the Eurocities is advocating, but also in terms of the national dimension of the decentralization processes. It's a common situation in almost every single country that we see this continuous war between the national governments and the local authorities in order to which competencies are allocated to each level, and connected with this, the allocation of resources. Because if we can achieve more, if we are achieving more results, we should have more resources, more financial resources to develop the projects that we are developing, but we don't have them. And so I think that's a huge challenge. I won't get the Nobel Prize of Peace because I don't have the answer on how we can convince the national governments and other authorities to do it, but it will be quite regretful if we don't do it.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Amaral, you wanted to add something?
Thank you. I agree with all of you, of course. I just want to add that we are the representative, we are the elected people who are nearest to the people. The people, in the scale of elected people, we are the nearest to the citizens. I think it's our job. It's our job to bring people with us and fight and ask questions to our MPs, senators, because nowadays, unfortunately, today, the relations, because in every parliament there is an association of friendship with this country, friendship with India, with friendship with Libya, and all. There is a lot of association. We have to ask questions to these people, and I think it's education of peace in all this field. In peace is not only resolving a conflict or disarmament. It's more than all that. So I think we have to bring people with us, and we should give more time and explain, because today, as I told, the relationship today is only business. I take the example of France. They sell arms to a lot of countries. Unfortunately, I'm ashamed that we are second seller of arms in the world after America. The relations stays only at that level. We are not talking about human rights others or what's going. What is the situation in the country like Libya and a lot of other countries in Africa, where we went to that we wanted to liberate the people, and they leave them with the problem. All developed country didn't share experience to develop these countries to come to a democracy standard. So I think it's our job to take people with us and ask to scale up to us, to Parliament and senators, and I think we can come to resolve. We will come to resolve these problems only with the unification, with the union of people and elected people like us, nearest to the people. I think it's very important, the education of peace cultures.
Thank you very much. I think we have time for a couple more questions, very briefly. Oh, you want to add something? Please, very briefly.
Just as a teaser, we need a little bit of acceleration here because, history is going faster than what we think. And if we have teenagers and youngsters that can change worldwide trend on how to make up, on how to dress, on how to change habits on millions of people, I think we should think about new language, new way, out of the boxes to be influencers, the way and with the acceleration we see in other fields.
Thank you very much. Oh, please, Tobia.
At least it works, because usually mic never works. So that's something good about the UN system. So honestly, I believe that we must be clear and sincere among ourselves regarding this issue, saying that we all know how difficult it was for us to come to office. It was a battle for all of us. It was not easy to gain the majority against our adversaries. So we are talking about the same thing. That's a battle. There is no one will actually leave us the floor and actually, say, please, cities, go forward. I will give you direct funds, and please tell us what you think about cities, about diplomacy, and about multilateral programs. That's a political battle. I agree with you. The thing is that this battle is becoming every day harder and harder in many countries, my continent, but also other continents. The actually opposition between actually national policies and local instances is becoming really tough. It's becoming something strong. So, as someone said a few decades ago, actually revolution is not a gala dinner. Revolution is something difficult. And we are talking about this. We are talking about city gaining power in a battle, not against national government, because this would be dumb to say, but taking the leadership in some specific chapters of the national and international living. And this is something which requires a strong commitment, in my opinion, also the disposal to taking some risks, which is not just talking among ourselves. We agree on this. It's, for example, actually talking with those measures, and there are, which are completely against these positions. And these are colleagues. And these are colleagues we must try to convince and actually fight with or against, depending on what they say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tobia, for this call for action. And I saw we have two people who would like to ask a question. I would like to start with Mr. Serge Strobans, Director Europe and MENA Region at the Institute of Economics and Peace, and then follow up with another question before giving back the floor to the panelists.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo, for introducing me also in my institute. So the IEP is responsible for the production of the Global Peace Index. So what we do is measure, quantify peace, but also identify the personal, the socioeconomic, the resilience level benefits coming along with a more peaceful situation. And when we look at positive peace, which is basically identifying the building blocks for a peaceful society, we look at structures, institutions, and attitudes. We have seen that over the past 2 decades, the attitudes have deteriorated. On the other hand, when you look at what we call negative peace, so in the Global Peace Index, we have seen an increase of civil unrest by 250%. So a clear link there. Bad attitudes or worsening attitudes, and of course, situation of violence within our society is worsening also. So I have one question and one question which popped up because of your very great interventions. First of all, how do you think you can have an impact on those attitudes in your cities? How can you change those attitudes? Of course, taking into account that those attitudes are, of course, influenced globally. Secondly, a lot of you spoke about the number of nationalities represented in your cities. I'm from Brussels, so I think I beat you all when it comes to the number of nationalities represented in my city. Do you imagine the potential you have of peace envoys you can create? Because a lot of people living in your cities come from areas, countries, communities which are at war, which are under pressure of violence also. So if you can transform them into your society, into peace envoys, from your local level, you can have an impact globally also in those conflicts. So how do you approach this? Did you think about it? And how do you approach this? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Serge. I would like to leave the floor for another question to Ambassador Tassos Kyriakoulis, Director of International Relations of the City of Athens and another member of the Advisory Board of the City Diplomacy Lab.
Without microphone. Yeah, good. So. No, it's okay. For the recording. Okay. Okay, I'll be as sweet as possible. Well, I wanted really to say that I absolutely agree with everything that has been said, and what has been said also from the Vice Mayor of Rome. There is no doubt that cities can achieve much more than governments in certain fields. And they are really the catalysts of many difficult situations. Lorenzo Kilgrandi knows very well that the French-German rapprochement, the signature of the treaty, of the Élysée Treaty, could not have been possible if it is not had been preceded by 160 or something more partnership between cities. It's the cities who prepare the ground. And what's the force of the cities? The force of the cities, of course, it's that they act bottom-up. They're close to the citizens and know exactly what has been said, find practical solutions, practical on the field. And they go further in a pragmatic and a symbolic way. What Mayor de Clercq said exactly about the visit of the mayors of the Eurocities to Istanbul in order to support Mayor Imamoglu, who is a very good friend of the Mayor of Athens, and they made a lot together. They didn't go only alone to support Imamoglu. They supported democracy going. That was really the nucleus of the act. Because with Imamoglu together, it was all the democratic values who were offended. And a second example, again, was coming from Eurocities. It's that when Dario Nardella invited some mayors, among them the mayor of Athens, it was in the middle of August, in Ferragosto 2022, when everybody is resting, they departed for Kiev with a difficult trip of 20 and more hours in buses, in trains, with lack of security, and they achieved to go there and sign the document of the reconstruction of Ukraine. I think there are so many concrete examples we can do where the mayors are able to do a lot the moment there is the will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tassos. Well, we don't have much time left, unfortunately, and so I would like to just add my little contribution before a very quick round of panelists for the final word and the answer to these questions. Well, I would say this cannot be the end. This has to be the beginning of something. I can feel the enthusiasm in the room. I can see the commitment already shown by cities and the willingness to do more by networking, by collaborating, by working with their citizens and connecting their citizens worldwide. So with the partner organizations of this event, the City Diplomacy Lab is opening up a platform to network and cooperate in order to define new ways to position cities in international relations for peace. More to follow very soon. And I would like to start this very quick intervention from Mayor Barnusell to the rest, and then the rest of the panel.
Well, you told right now 3 words: commitment, network and links, and cities are part of the solution. So just to finish.
Would you like any final words from you?
Just one remark. It's connected with the idea of the language that and the innovation spirit that we have to bring. Actually, for instance, in Portugal and in many other countries, if we make a poll, local authorities collect more confidence from the citizens than national governments or European institutions. And this is to say that there is a claim also from the populations that the local authorities have more and more capacity to do things because they realize that we achieve things. And I think that what it is important is that collectively, through the networks, through different organizations, we don't allow that this process is only cosmetic and that the national governments, like in Portugal nowadays, develop a decentralization process, which is just some sort of fake decentralization process in which we don't have new powers or new decision powers and just administrative responsibilities. And so this is the biggest challenge probably worldwide.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all of you.